I've hung on to this long enough. It's time it comes out.
What I'm saying is, very clearly, I'm bringing it to your attention. I'm not here to just chew the fat. I'm here to bring it clearly to your attention that if this carries on, then I've brought it to your attention. And if you decide, pardon me, but we're just talking straight here. If you decide not to consider this, not to look at it, not to act on it, and simply say, we don't care, you're going to pay, then what you're doing, essentially, is pointing a gun at my head. And what you're doing is you're taking a sort of mafioso approach to things. When I'm saying, look guys, I'm not speaking to you guys as, I am in one respect but not in another, as counsellors or the authorities or anything. I'm speaking to you guys from the perspective of one UK citizen to another, saying you have to understand this. You have to understand this and see what our government are doing, whether you like it or not. Now, you might even agree with the EU, but it's bigger than that anyway. You might agree with it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree with the EU. The fact is that your government did this insidiously over decades. They did it. They propagandized all about it for decades to get you and me and even MPs. There was hundreds of letters, emails, no, it would be letters, because this was 72. There was hundreds of letters to MPs of all parties, basically, three parties, three major establishment tripod parties, to MPs to pretending that they were from constituents. They weren't. They were written by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. This is fact. This is fact. Written by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, pretending to be constituents, sent to MPs, so that the MPs would then think that their constituents were supporting the EU. That was just one thing. There's tremendous amount of propaganda in this. It's incredible when you read it. But they did that. That's fraud. That's absolute downright bloody fraud. Now, I'm not willing. You'll sit there. I understand your position, totally. I mean, this isn't a personal thing. It's council. It's government. Government sits there and says, we'll take these steps. And I'm telling you, government, I'm saying that you don't have a leg to stand on, government, because you're corrupt to the core. Corrupt to the absolute core. And I'll go back to Bilderberg. And this is one of the major things that you need to understand. Bilderberg, along with its tentacles, which extend into almost any quango, any corporation, any government, anything you wish to even look at. Bilderberg have the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations. And the Royal Institute of International Affairs. These mean anything to you? No. See, people, and I appreciate you don't, because you don't have the time. You're not. That's not your area of expertise. You don't have the time. You wouldn't even think of looking at it. But it's due to that fact. Think about you multiplied by millions that don't know about this. You're therefore going to sit there and look at me and think, holy Jesus, right? But I'm telling you, you have to, because while you and multiplications of millions of you do not understand this, you're getting screwed. You're getting absolutely screwed by your own government that you work for.
I mean, I'd ask Bob just to come on with the reference to council tax on. getting a job and everything else and sort of it that way. But I mean, I take your point on board, Mark. You know, it's not obviously something that I'm involved in on a daily basis.
I understand it.
But I am prepared to take it forward to do some kind of investigatory work to see if within my own party I can get them to look at things, whether that be through Westminster or through the House of Lords. I'm sure it will
let
be.
me stop you a second. If you go through Westminster, the House of Lords,
Yeah, I know.
these people are in their pockets.
I suppose for me it's about getting, so I can get some background information, and I appreciate you'll have some there, but at least I'll get my head around what it's all about before something else can happen. I mean, ideally what is that you're looking for us to do was, I believe...
expose it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want you to expose it.
And in what way? Like through the media or something?
Through whichever way possible. You see, what the media does, and the media is owned, okay? What's going to happen if you go to Westminster, House of Lords, etc.? People, anyone you contact, they're going to go, yeah, right, okay. But there's Lord Stoddart of Swindon, okay? Just one example. And that is the QC letter about the 1972 issue. However, he is basically telling me, yes, you're right, but I'm not going to say anything about it, because I could find myself at the bottom of a ditch, and that is no joke, Cammy. I could find myself at the bottom of a ditch if I say any more than I do. People will say now, yes, it exists, and yeah, well, it's a bit secretive and but you know, and they just, that's what you get. That's the best you get. This guy is actually acknowledging, yeah, gotcha. But what you get from the people involved, such as Clark and Mandelson, is complete condescension, complete evasion, because they cannot respond to the questions. So, in not being able to respond to them, if you were to contact Ken Clark or Peter Mandelson or any of the guys involved, they're basically going to come after you. If you were to take it any further, they're going to come after you, Cammy. And that's the issue. You wouldn't have a job, you wouldn't have a life. So I'm being quite upfront with you. Okay? You wouldn't. They would completely destroy you. That's how big it is. Now, let me explain Bilderberg just a little bit more to you, because this is important. So, you've got, as Clark says, and it's here, you've got a whole bunch of politicians from all across the world, all having a chin wag and a cup of coffee and a few donuts. And we're just talking and getting to know each other. Well, I can assure you, there's enough of us made enough leewing into this, research in depth to know for a fact that is bull. Why would you have documents in UK Parliament that are wrapped up for 30 years regarding meetings and documentation from organisations that make no policy, have no, influence or issue, nothing? Bilderberg, the Trilateral Commission, these associated organisations, the Council of Foreign Relations, etc., they are all in a network. The head of Bilderberg, the man in charge, the man that pulls all the strings, is a chap called David Rockefeller. Right? He pulls every single string, along with, and this is where it gets into, you start using these names and people start remembering. But it's fact. Check that all out as well. It has to be checked out, because if you don't check it out, you don't understand this. In his memoirs, he states quite clearly, and this is the man running Bilderberg and all these other connections into our government, through the banks, through corporations, etc. He states clear as a bell that he is guilty as charged and proud of it. That's what he states, for wanting a single world government, and that nations and sovereignties basically should be destroyed. Now he states that in his memoirs. He is the man at the very top of the pyramid, if you want to call it that, who is pulling the strings through Bilderberg.
Okay. Could I take copies of these, Mark?
You said, no, take them.
Okay. I suppose just need to move on with it. That
Yeah.
I appreciate your comments that I don't particularly want to say something's going to end up being in a ditch, but I can go to Westminster through our own contacts and gather some information and maybe get back to you on that to see where we go with it. If there's something that's happening that is highly illegal and wrong, then I think it would be right to expose it to
It's
whatever
not
means.
if, Kenny. I'm
But
telling you,
yeah, you
it's
have
not
that.
if.
I don't have that information, but I suppose that's why I'm saying I need to get that information to be able to see this information you're giving me here. Something's not right, and I'm prepared to do what I can about that. I'd like to speak to Mark Zolovich, obviously. He hasn't been totally responsive to you, maybe, but I work alongside Mark, so he may be able to get us some information from Westminster. If not, then I can get back to you if I'm up against a buffer on it as to where we go from here. But it doesn't seem it's going to be something that will be resolved overnight, unfortunately. We've been at it for 2 years.
You don't, then I don't know something.
Well, I suppose that's where I'm at. I appreciate your comments today. I need to get my head around it myself, through whatever means that is, through this information or talking to other people to get an understanding for myself, see where I can go with it, if anyway. And I will do that, Mark. But as I'm sure your 2 years research has proven it won't happen overnight. But I'm prepared to do what I can for it and get to where I can with it.
Just let me ask you, when was the first time? When was the very first time any of you guys heard that we were going to hit a serious financial crisis? This serious, what we're in. What was the first sort of day around you heard anything from our government or, you know?
I could have got a date to it, but I can recall a few times when the Chancellor's mentioned economic constraints in the coming year, so it would have been maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a bit.
Year and a bit. Even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. What if I told you that Bilderberg had a meeting in Athens, which Ken Clark attended, and others, a meeting in Athens, no, it wasn't in Athens, sorry, it was in France, and there was a Times article after it in May 2003. I'm going to show you this. Times article, May 2003. 2003. Okay. Just give me a second and post to it. Okay, there you are. Times article, May 2003. 2003. Okay. Just give me a second and post to it. Okay, there you are. Alright. Okay, Asia Times, which is a part of the Times. Asia Times, 22nd of May 2003. You can read the whole thing there. You know, I don't know. Let's for instance say I had a whole bunch of lawyers around here and major people that you respect rather than me, okay? And these guys were saying to you, this is fact, and you fully appreciated that these were facts. How would you feel about it?
I mean, I can answer it. You would be, to be fair, Rob was asked long as an officer to talk about council tax, so it's unfair to place my things. If this is to be true, it would be concerning for me, and you would want it brought into the public domain.
Right, I'm glad to hear that. Good. That's all I need to do.
Thanks for your time, Mark.
Okay.